What is happening, all you contractors and entrepreneurs? Welcome to the Pond Digger Podcast. My name's Eric Triplett. I'm your host, and today we're going to be doing a podcast called How to Overcome a Sales Slump as a Contractor. I'll have the driveway guy, Christopher Phillips, on the podcast with me today as an interview, and we're going to talk about how we pulled him out of a slump of sales. He was crushing it from like late 2020 into 2023 all the way through. At the end of 2023, he kind of hit a slump, and we discussed a little bit about maybe why we hit a slump, and then we talk about basically the comeback. It's a really great story with Christopher Phillips, and it's an emotional one. I think you're really going to find a ton of value on it. And before I jump into it, I want to share with you, we have two forms of content that we share on the Pond Digger Podcast. Once a week, we're pushing out something for contractors and entrepreneurs looking to become the best versions of themselves. That's my personal journey, and I'm sharing it with you right here on the podcast. I'm interviewing a lot of people, trying to level up in certain areas of my life, talking to some of the members in my coaching group where we get together and we do role plays and sales mastery and all that stuff. So you'll get a lot of like interesting twists when it comes to that. Also, we jump and drop some killer stuff for ponds and aquariums, and basically adding water into your life. Touching people's lives with water has been the mantra for me for over 20 years. And we do that with aquariums and ponds and water gardens and, ducks and turtles and all that kind of stuff. So that's my passion, it's my business. And so I push that out once a week as well. Now, we have these podcasts up on YouTube, and we have them on iTunes and Spotify as well, or your favorite podcast platform that you listen to. Just so you know, the way we're flowing them into YouTube, as we've just come back on to the scene here, we're flowing them in a little bit slower there, but you can catch the audio podcasts on iTunes and Spotify a couple of weeks. So we'll be pushing them out as fast as we possibly can here on YouTube to get the content out to you guys, and that's going to be how we're rolling. My only big ask for you guys is, if you're finding value, you'll hit the subscribe button, especially on iTunes and Spotify. It helps a lot for me. Here on YouTube, if you want to hit that button and hit the notifications button, subscribe, that means a big deal to me as well when you hit that bell. So without further ado, I'm going to jump onto the podcast. I hope you're going to find a ton of value on how to get out of a sales slump as a contractor. Let's rock and roll. Christopher, tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business, where you're located and all that good stuff.
I'm Chris Phillips out in Central Texas, and I'm the driveway guy. I build driveways, specialize in grading and prepping land with machinery, and that's what we focus on out here.
And these are not just like small driveways. These are, Texas is big. We're talking long driveways, right?
Yeah, we're talking private roads. 1,000 feet is the smaller side, and beyond onto a mile to get onto people's property. And that's where we love to be, out on the ranches, out seeing animals, and just not the world. You're really just out in nature, which is epic.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so you specialize in like a crushed gravel, compacted, not asphalt and not concrete, right?
Yeah, gravel driveways for ranches and stuff is very much the norm. And so when we drove into Texas, moving here, I saw them everywhere. I'm like, this is crazy. I've never seen driveways that are like the length of 2 roads in Southern California. So they just go on forever. And that's where the first idea came into play, of that could be something to do, because if you Google it, you don't really see people doing that. So that's kind of where the idea came from.
Well, tell us a little bit about that, because you're just recently moved to Texas from California, because you're talking about the economy so crappy in California, you left. Is that what happened?
Well, it was the Event 201 little party that shut down the world for a couple of days. Made me rethink what I was doing and moved to Texas. My family's out here. I got my brother, his kids, my mom's. So when the world shut down, we were getting fined in our business that we had a retail store in Southern California. We were getting fined for even standing there.
Wow.
So I just jumped ship and came out to Texas. And next thing you know, I'm got machines and out building roads and turned into the construction side of life, which I've never done before.
I mean, you went from retail to like construction, driving tractors and shit. Where did that come from? Like, how did that even happen?
So when I left the furniture world, came out here, I had a few opportunities to buy a moving company, or to buy a septic installation company. So I had done furniture for over 20 years. I'd had a fleet of trucks, moved and had furniture everywhere. So a moving company didn't sound fun to me or exciting. I was like, I felt going into the same thing. And the concept of construction just feels like outdoor and can't get shut down as easy. So I'm like, I'll look into that route. So it's crazy. I meet this guy who wants to sell his business, and I start going out with him and meet him on job sites. And he teaches me everything about septic installation. These are all brand new homes, the home builders putting in all the new systems, digging the holes, putting in all the special stuff, covering it up, getting it signed off by the government, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So 90 days, learn everything. We're locked and loaded, deals on the table. We got our numbers set. Go out to do that like last week of getting the employees comfortable with, this is Chris. You guys know he's going to take care of things. You've seen him here for a while. Like, this is the week it's coming down. And he takes me over to the side and he's like, this is my baby, man. And I just can't let it go. And I'm so sorry that
Wow.
this far. So
Wow.
I never asked for money during this process. I was doing it in excitement to buy the business.
Right.
So for more than 90 days, I was running machines. I was moving like an animal to show everyone that I could work harder than all of them. I needed to
Right.
outwork everybody and show them before I could buy it.
Yeah.
So I'm hustling, and then get told, sorry, dude, can't have
You probably made him so much money. He was like, maybe I shouldn't do this,
it. Yeah. And seeing what could produce, and also the world of using technology. He was real old school. So I already explained to him the things I was going to do to the company really quick to grow it. And he definitely, I think, was nervous about that. And so at the end of that day, he felt so guilty, and I was dumbfounded. Like, he told me that. We hopped into his work truck, said, just come with me, leave your truck here. We just drove around to job sites he's done before, and he used the day to try and just apologize that I'm not selling you my business. And by the end of that, he practically pretty much gave me a skid steer and an old farm truck. He said, it's Texas. You're going to make money. Just go
Yeah.
there. And he
Okay.
said, come buy a gooseneck trailer, dump trailer, and you're going to be fine. And that is literally exactly how it started.
Wow. Well, I
And
mean, that seems kind of stand up to me. Like, he just didn't just shit you out onto the streets, right?
oh no, he felt bad. It was just a matter of that, like, think about you selling your business right now.
Yeah.
The second you get real close, you're like, I'm the pond digger. I can't just give you that name, like that would be
Yeah.
hard. That's where he was, the name of the business and the history. He just had trouble letting that go. So that's how that panned out, and why I all of a sudden had equipment and became a construction company.
Okay. And so you went into like, give me the name of the company. It's is it SS skid steer or
It's
what's
Phillips skid steering.
Phillips skid steering? But you literally introduce yourself as the driveway guy. Are you going to
Yeah.
change? Are you going to rebrand? Are you thinking about rebranding?
I've been on the thought of rebranding almost every year since I started, because when I started, I didn't know what a skid steer was before October of 2020. So it's a new word in my head I literally have never heard in my life. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with my name, and I'm going to use skid steers. I'm going to be skid steering. So
I'm going
there
to
we
make
go.
money. Yeah.
Yes. And the concept also was that I was going to work for the septic company, and it didn't matter what my name is. I just need to be able to get him a check and have a business. So I just kind of made the name and went for it. And then within 6 months, he was like, yeah, I'm thinking we're going to slow down and not do as much stuff, and we're not going to use you. So I want you to start doing something else. So once again, like, here you go,
Yeah.
figure it out, round two. And that's where driveways got birthed till later.
And how long have you been? This has only been 2, 3 years that you've been into
We're
construction.
fourth year now. Yeah.
Fourth year in construction. Okay. And so just so you know, I don't think it's too late to rebrand. I mean, I think if driveways were you got this sweet spot, if you're making good profits in that area, and I think it could be a division. I mean, who knows where you're going to branch to next? But if you had a division called the driveway guys or whatever, I
Yeah.
think that name crushes.
Oh yeah, trust me. We thought about Dr. Driveway guy. We've
Yeah.
been chatting about that for years, but it's just like I really want to make sure I do it with almost a branding coach to make sure I do it
Mhm.
right. If I'm gonna go for it, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna go half ass. I'm gonna figure it out, do it all the way, no stopping.
Bro, we have someone in our group that you can talk to about that.
Oh yeah.
He's not super active right now because he's crushing out there. He was, his name's Nick Pichet. He's in Canada. Um, he came in as Gorilla Voltage, and I'll shoot you some of his TikToks and stuff like that. But he came in as Gorilla Voltage, and he's a muscular dude. Like he looks like a gorilla. He looks just strong and like he just crush you, right? But for whatever reason, and I kind of like that name, Gorilla
Yeah,
Voltage.
I
And
kind of dig
yeah,
that.
there's a gorilla and a lightning bolt, and I was like, I don't know, it's kind of a dope name. I don't know if I'd rebrand. And he has a few years, into, but he completely rebranded. He was going for like a more corporate vibe, and he hired a company and they completely rebranded. I remember they made him, they really literally made him a new logo. He hadn't seen it and he was like waiting to see it, and he shared it with us. It was really pretty fun. And
That's
and
cool.
he's crushing with his new logo. So he's definitely a resource to talk to about.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to kind of set a stage for how we ended up working together. Now, somehow you heard about the 8 vital questions I ask every prospect before I visit them on their property. Somehow you found out about that TikTok. You can tell me how you found out, whatever. And you downloaded that PDF that we are just giving to people as a, hey, try this out. It's free information, and you use that for like 8 months or something, right? Can you tell us the story in your words? What attracted you to that, and what problems you were facing in your business before you reached out to us?
So yeah, I've done sales retail my whole life. So I know how to do sales. But now all of a sudden I am doing construction on people's residential properties, and it's just a completely different world. But did everything and built everything off social media. So I was just pushing forward, but because I'm always dealing with social media, I was also always seeing your face kept popping up, and you'd be throwing out things about your contractor secrets. And you, of course, there was one that just kind of hit home where it was like, okay, I'm struggling with that issue of clients not hitting me back. So that's something I should look into. And then I went to the link on probably TikTok, went to the website, downloaded the 8 vital questions, and of course, my wife always has a better way to do everything. So when I print them
All
out,
wives do. All wives do.
she goes and kind of rewrites it for the Phillips skid steering version of the 8 vital questions. And she really tries to like make it for us a little bit more. So I have
That's cool.
these 8 questions to work with. So that was our kind of original sales script, I would say. And all I had was the things I've seen you talk about and the 8 questions with the concept of sales. And so I just went for it. I started trying to go through the process, and certain questions I was scared of. As simple as that. I wouldn't ask certain questions because I didn't get um why in the world I would ask someone if they've had someone else, another contractor, work for them.
Yeah.
I'm like, why am I talking about this? I'm like, I'm just gonna go to this one and I'll do this
Yeah.
one. And so I cherry picked and kept trying to build, and we worked on this for over 8 months of diligently using it, trying to adjust it, trying to make it work. And I just was kept getting the people coming to us, but trying this new system was not getting anyone to actually close a deal. And I'm like, this is just getting frustrating. I don't know what um I'm missing or what I'm doing wrong.
Well, at
Uh,
that point, were you thinking like the 8 vital questions was bullshit, or were
oh
you
yeah,
thinking,
I absolutely
yeah,
just called Triplett bullshit. I got to go back to I know
yes,
what's up. I got it. I did this before. I just don't get what Eric's talking about because I've tried that. No clients talk to me the way he's talking, so I just don't want what he's saying. I'm just gonna go ahead and use the questions I feel like have value for me, and kind of roll forward and do my own thing with that. And what's actually interesting is that we were crushing it. For 3 years straight, we just kept growing and growing. I doubled the business almost every year. And then in December, pretty much went dry, which most of the contractors and CDL drivers I know do construction stuff all kind of went in this kind of dry mode. And so I put out a new ad using the script built off the 8 questions. We went through that month, we went through 15 forms, went through with every single person, gave numbers and dealt with every single person, and got no jobs. So I had 0 jobs of that in the new year when I was like packed in the schedule the years before. So I was like, I don't know what's going on. I feel like I failed myself. 8 questions failed me. It was a very confusing and stressful time for me. And this is why it's crazy. You sent me an email. You made a video and you're like, hey, Chris, I saw 8 months ago you downloaded our questions. Just wasn't sure if you had anything you wanted to know. I don't know what it was, but it was a video you made directly to me, emailed to me about, I see you downloaded this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is bonkers. I was like, how does this dude know that I'm having this problem? That's how it
Yeah.
felt. It was crazy. So that's when I think I just hit you up directly off that, because it was the second I saw that email, I'm like, I know I need help. I'm doing something wrong, and there's no way this guy is succeeding and doing what he's doing, and just I'm missing a big piece of the puzzle.
Okay, so that's why you're like, okay, I'll get on the call with you.
Yeah, I need to talk to Eric. I'm done. He just emailed me.
Do you think that the going into election year, do you think that maybe has something to do with it? I mean, I'm talking to a lot of contractors. There are a lot of contractors who are slow this time of year right now.
Yeah,
It's
I definitely know election year has made everyone different about how they're purchasing. They're not
Mhm.
doing the large grandioso things, and what I do is very grandioso. These are huge driveways, they're
Yeah.
weeks of work, and they're not small jobs. So it works great when people just buy a property, but for the people that have maintenance, they're just like, I'll hold off this year, which was kind of like, I think, our number one client the year before was
Okay.
just fixing old ones.
I want to touch on something because there's a lot of coaching programs out there. I'm not the only, contractor coach. So sales mastery is what I believe is like the biggest lever to help contractor. All the problems that they are facing can be solved with better profits and closing more deals. I feel like that's a real lever to do that with. So since I'm not the only coach out there, I'm not the only program out there, you did share with me on that first call that we had together that you had just done, an 8-week course of something, of sales training.
Yeah.
And then maybe the timing was I hit you up with a mail, with an email and a video, and you're like, oh, I just did a sales training. This guy wants to do sales training. Like there's a real tug of war right there. Well, I just took 8 weeks and now this guy wants to train me something different. Like, tell me about that whole process.
Man, actually, it's funny because there's so many things that went on through the last 6, 8 months of life. Yeah. So I tried to change my sales process with this other company, and did a whole sales training course and went through all this stuff. And that I fell on my face and failed horribly with, in my opinion.
And you paid a
I,
good amount of money for that too.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
was
was,
it?
it was 12-week course, packets and homework, and I did the whole shebang, and I was like on point, really wanting to get success. That's I need to provide.
Yeah.
So I did all that, and I was super frustrated because they were not contractors. There was like corporate concept of sales and just not hitting us. And that's where the 8 questions was why I kept going back to, like, this seems more what I need. But the sales from those guys was just wrong. And so yeah, you hit me at that very vital point when I was stuck in between, what do I do? I have all these people saying this is how sales should be, and then you're saying you suck at sales if you do that. You have a whole series on, like,
Yeah.
you suck at sales if, and that is what it was. It was just tons of more that I suck at sales everywhere I was looking. I'm like, I don't get that. I've done it my
Yeah.
whole life, and I'm glitching here.
So you chose us because you're like, okay, I took the corporate stuff. It didn't really apply to construction. Well, some of that stuff can if you have a good foundation. You know,
Yeah.
now that you have a good foundation with our group, now you can like glean some cool stuff off of that stuff and like kind of weave it in once you get it all figured out. But
Yes.
so you chose us because we were more contractor based, and that was the way. Okay,
I'm
cool,
new to this and that's what you do. So yeah, I felt that
cool.
I needed to change.
Okay, so we have a lot of assets in our group, meaning we have availability for people to jump on the calls with other people for role plays. We have the sales training role play training on Tuesday nights, and we have our mindset weekly compass accountability call on Fridays. So we have a lot of assets going on there, the break even analysis, job costing, all those different things. And then we have that just the daily community where we're talking and keeping in front of each other, right? I think a lot of contractors end up on their own island and they don't communicate with other contractors that are, in their space and keep them accountable. So can you tell me out of those assets that we have in here was something that's maybe helped you tick the needle the most? Like I have all these assets to choose from. What's the one thing that you're like, okay, this is the one thing that's helping me?
Um, man, for me, it was very much a combination of that there was going to be active people every week involved with what's going on, meaning not coaches that just read books and talk to you. Like there was actual other people who are working all week long doing something and coming together to actually discuss business. That was a huge factor for me. And role playing at the time didn't seem necessary. I just felt that the community and being able to ask questions to someone that would understand what it's like to stand on someone's property in front of their face, how that transaction goes,
Mm.
that is very crucial. Everyone does it differently, but there's tricks to be better at it. And that's what I was looking for. I was really looking for community and to understand your 8 questions.
So this is interesting because I have some great coaches in the group, and you haven't even met. You've had probably one call with Drew, right?
Drew and Thomas,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, Drew and Thomas. You haven't had any interactions with Kristen yet, and she's amazing too. But like, wait till you get more of Drew. He's just unbelievable. I mean, and then when everyone feeds off each other, it's really cool because Thomas has a different perspective than I. He's a down south kind of guy. I'm SoCal guy. I'm gonna throw in some slang a little bit, and Drew is so thoughtful, man. He's so thoughtful the way he does stuff. And then Kristen, she's a woman, has a different approach, So it's like when you get all those collective ideas together, it's really cool to watch it because, I might do something really cool, but then you might like Drew's style different in this area and Kristen's style better in that area. And then the good old boy from the South, I think that's super valuable and fun.
Man, I swear, if you just read our sales script, you would just call Thomas and be like, "Did you send this to Chris?" Because like we did some role plays together, and we really kept taking a lot of sentences he used, and all of a sudden you read it, and it does sound that southern charm, and
Yeah.
I'm as smooth as he is. So we've had to slowly adjust. It's just
Yeah.
very funny. But Drew is the reason why I crushed it with realtors. The whole thing shifted with
Yeah.
just him giving me some just real down to earth ideas that were just coming off him like he couldn't stop saying it. It was like a half hour straight. That video just
Yeah.
never ended of him being like, "Oh, you did that. Oh, you say this and then this," and he just, oh man, gold mines the whole way through.
Yeah.
So Drew is powerful.
And there's one of the assets that are in the group. You go back and look at all those things. It was cool. I just went back to Roadmap Live 34 to do those mini discovery calls, and I sent it to Jorge and Carmen, the new members, and I sent it to Dave Misterly and other people. So like, anytime that someone comes in and they're struggling with something, I might find an old roadmap, and I'm like, you got to watch this series, and get caught up on that. Um,
One
so
of the
you
first
said,
things we did too. Yeah, you said this
yeah,
34. and that
Yeah.
really shifted our business too. It was like each thing has been a turn in the wheel.
Yeah. And there's 100 of those calls in the group, more than 100. You know what I mean? Like they're not all just dripping gold, but I mean, there's good value in every one of those calls. It's so hard to go back and listen to them all. You said role plays didn't seem necessary, but it sounds like you found value in them later on.
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, the whole concept of it just seemed silly to me. It was just like I don't need to deal with that. I need to just lock this down and go make some money. It was I want to learn and use what I learn and go, and just the concept didn't click for me, and so it was a big shock when we on the Tuesday, my first Tuesday there, just hearing a role play and kind of being shocked by it. And I think it was the next Tuesday I did my first role play. So
Have you gone back and listened to that one yet?
you know what? No, I haven't. I really need to go listen to my first one for sure. That's going to be interesting.
Well, it'll be good because you'll see how much you've grown, how much you've moved forward. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's really powerful when you do that. Here's the thing: when you read the script, you don't get the tone. You don't get the tone. You don't get the pauses. You don't get the verbal cues. You know, all those little things that are very, very tactical when you're on the call with people, right?
And the different people that exist in the world. I think that was the biggest thing is that as I go through role plays, everyone has a different vibe to them. Everyone has a different personality to them. So I'm learning how to deal with that person when it's my client.
Mhm.
And so being able to actually do this and um I brought up in the group a while back. I probably saved myself losing a large amount of clients by role playing at first what I thought was a great idea. And instantly Daryl was like, don't ever do that, bro. I'm like, what? I was like, that was dope. I don't know. I was all excited about it and pumped
Yeah.
up. Like, no, just don't do it. And, kind of you go through and you have to try it on people that you're not going to ruin your business on, but yet
Mhm.
still care enough to then give you feedback and help you grow through those mistakes.
Yeah.
Uh, that's a huge thing, man.
See, that falls in line with the, well, what if you suck at sales and you don't even know it? You're like, I really felt that sounded good, right? I feel like I like the way it came off my flow here. But then when you get in with a coach or even guys that are just been training for a while and they're not coaches or anything, but they have enough reps in them to understand tonality and stuff, suddenly you're like, no, this is what it demonstrated. This demonstrated, cockiness, or it demonstrated the fact that you didn't listen to them earlier. And you're like, well, I didn't even realize that I was demonstrating these poor qualities. And that's what a
Yeah.
lot of contractors don't understand. Is like when you ask permission to talk about money, that's demonstrating, concern and empathy and consideration, right? Those little things that we do, but the tonality is like crazy. I forgot this.
Yeah, and when and man, just so much of it that if you, like I did, just kept trying to go through it with my what I felt was right without hearing someone do it the whole way through, which does take 20 or 30 minutes. I mean, it does take that long, but when you actually start going through it, you're like, there's a lot more to these 8 questions than I ever imagined. And they are so simplistic and so powerful, but you got to use them right.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all proofs in the pudding, man, because I tried for a long time and all it took me was some role playing and actually listening, getting the feedback and growing.
Tell me about the buy-in from Tracy, because a lot of contractors might get pushback from their spouses on, joining a program, paying money to learn or to train or do sales stuff. And sometimes you have a spouse that's in the business with you, and sometimes you don't. They're not in the business. So I think this is an interesting twist. We had to have buy-in from Tracy. Tell me how that went down.
Um, Man, it's very hard running a business with your wife. That's not an easy thing to do, and we think differently, have different mindsets, and so I feel like men think and function on producing, providing, taking care of the family, and women want to like get practical about things and be all down to earth when
Mhm.
entrepreneurship and owning a business isn't down to earth. It's just not. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's it's a hectic road. But Tracy saw my struggles and she knew I needed help. So it was like, if I felt there was value in getting some kind of step forward, she was behind me 100%.
Mhm.
But mindset wise, she always has struggled with all the changes. I don't think anyone's comfortable with change. I think I just talked
Yeah.
about it the other day, like getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like just do what you don't like to do, and good things start happening.
I find that men typically are, a little more logic, a little bit more risk takers, and I'd like to think they're more calculated risk, so like logic and calculated risk, where women are more like emotional about decisions and things like that. So I think
Yeah.
that's where some of the friction can come, when you're trying to talk about that kind of stuff, you know. But she's bought in now, right?
Oh yeah, I mean she is very much seen the change, and she keeps. And the biggest thing is watching role playing, like because every all of a sudden I'm like, I gotta go, I got another role play. I gotta. She's like, whoa, you were just like on these role plays like over and over. I'm like, I have to because the phone is gonna ring, and I have to be the best when that phone rings.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like every gap of time I have until a client's calling me, I need to be getting better and better as possible. And so that's really where I think. Um, that shift happened, and it's really pumped away the last 3 weeks, I would say.
Yeah. 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 I've seen you getting really super, super more active. Question. I know you haven't had experience with this a lot since you've been in the group, but like a lot of times, you take some photographs that you might have got from a project that you're getting ready to bid on, you're getting ready to work with the client. And then if you get those to us in the group, and then we can go through some role play scenarios on the actual one that you're getting ready to phone call. Can you tell us how instrumental that can be?
That was actually the big shift for me, is that I was very active. I was at every meeting, live role play I could be at. I was trying to dive in and understand. I feel trying to figure it out. And I wasn't. Oh man, I sorry, I'm having a flashback of when you guys did a Tuesday night. It was my dad's birthday. My entire family's 14 people are all from California out here for a big old party. And I was off to the side of the party on that live listening because you couldn't record it and get it to go on.
Uh-huh.
And Drew was on there, and it was like the day that I feel shifted things for a lot of people. I still trip out about that because everyone was just talking about how you guys all got as good as you did. Like talking about the good old days of, waking up at 5 a.m., doing two role
Mhm.
plays, taking a shower, doing this, and get another role play at lunch, like getting them in everywhere. And I've listened and heard you guys, and you're so smooth and you get it so well. And I'm like, they only did that because they did 200 role plays in a month. Like that didn't
Yeah.
happen because you read a book and you're like, this book was really good. Now I'm going to go do my 8 vital questions.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, you had to like go harder than you want to crush the gym to really have progress. And so hearing all you guys, Thomas, Drew, you, and a few others just talking about how you came up and realizing that it was the same week that other big crazy job, and I was on the machine still when you called for our role play.
Yeah.
And so it was like and it was like you brought it up. You're like, if that role play was what you had planned for the week, well, you already failed. And I think
Yeah.
like that was like crushed me in a way because I was like, I wasted your time, and I didn't plan on my time to better our own business.
Yeah. But
So I know
sometimes
I'm
we
on tangents, but
sometimes we need that, and like you have to be around a group of people that'll call you on some bullshit sometimes, right?
yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, I need to be called on bullshit all the time too. Trust me. Will you please share the story about our first call, the 14 slips hanging on your wall behind you, anxiety, stress, and then you implemented the program to change that.
So we did the Zoom meeting with you. You, me, and Tracy did that, went down through that meeting in itself. You gave me enough hints just in that little Zoom call that we knew we were using the questions wrong. Like you gave us enough hints. We're like, if I got all these sitting here, I got 15 people that I've given good, better, best estimates to and heard zero back from, and they have ghosted us. Like no one's responding, no one's doing nothing. Um, that we had to do something. So that first role play, which I feel was like the next day. I was like within a day or so of doing the meeting with you, signing up. It was like, all right, we're doing a live meeting tomorrow or tonight, whatever that was.
Yeah.
Went on that live meeting, and just in that hearing everyone talk and watching a role play happen, it's like it was like the 8 questions just like opened up like a flower. It was like, what is this, dude? It was like a whole new world and
Yeah.
and a thought process that we had never at all gotten to. And it was that you go to the property to sign a contract and take the deposit. That was like the big not only how the 8 questions go, but the concept of how it lines you up to make sure you're comfortable with that client. They've qualified that they want to do business with you in that price range. And the purpose of going to their house is to get the contract signed and get the money, you know? And so the consultation fee and all that kind of stuff, even at that on that job, we didn't mention consultation fee because it was just like, we have to just focus on what we just learned about the 8 questions. So yeah, so I learned just off that one thing. I replayed it. We replayed that live thing at least 40 times. Right, me
Wow.
and Tracy just filling up papers with notes, and of course hand those to Tracy. 3 hours later, out comes the printer. Here's a new script for you. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
So I took that script the next day. So that night, played all the way through. The next day, had a client, went through with this using 8 questions in the right manner. My first time ever, no role plays, no nothing. I was just like, I'm just going to do, I get it now. I get a better picture. So I went through, and that day or the next day, I went to the property, signed the contract, and got the deposit. And Tracy and I were just like, what the hell have we been doing for like the whole year? We just wasted all of our time and lost all 15 of those clients. They're not coming back. They went somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was a matter of that the anxiety and fear of not getting that job was so detrimental to our lives at that point. It was that bad because I feel like we were a few months into the new year and still had not had a job and had been doing estimates and talking to people and doing everything I can without locking anything down. And it was that one, the very first role play, watching it over and over, taking what I could. And I'm like, I need to go to the house and sign it there. That's the only reason I'm going to the property. I'm not consulting. I'm not measuring. Like I already know you need a driveway. I'm coming. Let's get some money and do it.
Yeah.
And so that
Uh,
was the shift that started the change for us dramatically. And man, you don't know how much that shifted our life, our household.
how'd you feel when you drove away with that check? That I mean, this was like 2 days later. I send you an email, a live video. It's directed to you. You're on a Zoom call. The next day, you're on a live role play. You know, next day you're out using the 8 vital questions that opened up like a flower, like, and you're leaving with a check, bro. Like
Yeah, and a
when
big
you
one.
got in the truck, what were you thinking?
It was a very emotional time for us with just how hard life was getting, how much I kept pushing and pushing to learn, and it was like to go through the whole pre-training thing and have that fail for me so hard, and then not get that vital questions. I just felt like a failure in myself. It was very frustrating. So, man, just remember the emotions of that day because
Yeah.
it was super real. Um, and I was just grateful,
Yeah.
gratitude for you reaching out and just being like, hey, what are you doing with those questions I gave you? Like, have you even looked at them and just
Yeah.
talked to me for a second? And it shifted our future.
Yeah. That makes me feel really good. I mean, it's the kind of moments like that that mean everything, you know? And yeah, I thank you for sharing that. I know it's tough. And I know this is maybe a dark question, but like, did you have a plan B? Like, where do you think you'd be if you hadn't taken action on that? I mean, where would you be right now?
I mean, I wasn't gonna quit or stop. You know, I would have,
Mm.
I always would have kept pushing. Um, but I really feel that, man, it's tough to say if I would have wanted to sell machines and like dip and just forget about doing what I was doing.
Mhm.
Um, it it was close to that because we would have, if we wouldn't have done that, we would have had gone through the rest of our savings and been truly at a zero out point,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't have been worth it. So it was like, it was very scary because we bought a new machine last year because things were banging, things were moving.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now we got these extra machines and stuff going on with no work. I still got to pay for them. You know, like those
Yeah.
bills don't go away.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really do fear that selling something, getting rid of the company, shifting my life, who knows where, what angle. Um, but at the same time, I didn't want to quit because contracting was new to me and hard.
Mhm.
Um, that's I think where I was also real determined on um, getting connected with you. Once it all happened, it was like I need to be with people that live this life and actually understand it better than I do, because
Yeah.
that's the reality of it. Like now we're talking to a group of people who have lived this for a long time and
Mhm.
understand it, have more respect for it than most, and can give me feedback that's invaluable. Um, it really gives us a chance to get back on track and know that this is very much our business and we're good at what we do.
You're back in the pocket, man. You're in the
Yeah,
pocket. I love your TikToks, man. I know. I could tell you're good at what you do just by watching that stuff. It's really, really cool.
thanks, man.
Um, the reason I asked that question is because, you've only been doing this for 4 years. A lot of the contractors I deal with, they've been doing it for, 20 years or 18 years or something like that. And like that's a really tricky part of the game too. Like a lot of times they just go back and work for someone else, and once you've done contracting for a while, it's you kick them the balls a lot, but like there's that twist of like, do I go back to work for someone or do I, somehow get through this? So it's really cool that you shared the breakthrough right there. Um, can you tell us? I don't know if you've gotten through the whole entire video courses that we sent out to you, but the whole step process, tonality and buzzwords and the art of silence and all those videos. Have you got through them yet?
I've gone through a good amount of those, and even on the short ones, I still get something out that I actually use within 24 hours. I think every time I've watched one, it's something I've changed and adjusted and how I deal with the next client.
Mhm.
And I just watched the one earlier this morning that was about a little deeper delve on the personality side of things, on how people are from that high D to the C's and S's,
Yeah.
and it really, I'm actually thankful that I got to that video now after doing a personality test, talking in the group multiple weeks about all this kind of stuff, and like Fitzy's high D action, that's like the hardest client ever to deal with. And that's the thing, is I have him to call and be like, try and talk to him and sell him a driveway. I can't do it the way I do it with most of the clients that call us. It's not the same.
Yeah.
80-year-old ladies want their driveway done compared to talking to a high D who's like, just come on, get it done.
Yeah.
You have to shift. And so again, the role playing has made it so I can even understand how much you have to be liquid uh
Right.
with every phone call.
Like Bruce Lee, you got to be like water.
Oh
Do
yeah.
and they didn't teach you anything about that in the corporate sales training about
Not in
personality types, right?
oh, well, oh yes, they of course did talk about personality stuff, but it was much more like, and the way when I say corporate, it was much more like, here's a packet of stuff that tells you about it. We're gonna do a Zoom meeting for an hour and talk about a little bit. And so if you don't read the book and really get it all, and you're not getting the value from it. Where in the groups, it's a group of people on the screen who have different personalities, and you're getting the vibe. And like Joe will pop in and be like, well, I wouldn't let you talk to me like that, and da 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 da. It's
Yeah.
like, to know that is more valuable than people understand. And a book, I read too many books and too many things, and something about the live togetherness of a group and then actually role playing is such a game changer. And you brought it up a minute ago with how we could take a couple pictures, put it up in the group. Like, this is what shifted for me 3 weeks ago. I put the 6 pictures that I got from the client. It was a huge job, very complicated. And I'm like, guys, this is my sales call tomorrow. Here's Tracy's discovery call. Here's the pictures. Who could role play? And I did endless role plays on the exact scenario so that when I went through it, I was a million times better than I ever would have been.
Mhm.
But then at the end of that, I came back to you guys and told you what I found out. And all you guys were like, you have to find out this, 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 and this. And
Yeah.
so on the on-site consultation, we dug in and made sure we had everything understood of those questions. But that wouldn't have happened if I didn't have the group of people all working together to help us. It was like 15 people involved with one client
Yeah.
a job, and we couldn't have gotten there without the help of everybody. But what was crazy is that it was the job that I did the very next day that I closed on site and just did it like a side note. Oh, phone call. Yeah. Da, 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 da. 8 questions. Cool. See you at your property. Let me get your check. Here's signed contract. All right. I got to go get back. Like,
Yeah.
it was so weird how I did so much studying for the huge job that it made it so mindless to get the next job.
Right.
It was like, it wasn't even, it was just another role play in a way. It was like, okay, I got this. What's up?
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. And of course, it wasn't quick. I took my time and did it
Yeah.
right. But it was just a matter of that all of the role playing for what I had the group help me with had boosted me, where every call is getting easier and easier. So it doesn't matter the scenario, which is huge.
I think that was a time. I mean, I think we all worked on you on that particular call for like an hour and a half. I mean, we just you were the centerpiece of the call. Like,
Yeah.
let's work with Phillips right now. Let's figure this out, team. And that was a lot of fun.
Oh
And
yeah.
and but the thing is like everyone else in the group was learning from like the possibilities of what could happen and why it would happen and how we should approach this. Hey, did you find out that?
Yeah,
Like,
how
how
do
do
you
I
do
ask
when you have
that
multiple
question?
property owners? Like,
Yeah.
that's, everyone was curious and learning, and so yeah, it was a very interesting process, and it's still not over. So we'll see.
I was going to tell you about the video course that you got is you said every time you listen to one of the modules, you pick something up and then you implement it into your day and you twist it a little bit. The cool thing for you is when you go back and listen to those modules in a couple of months, 6 months or a year or whatever, like if you listen to them again, they're gonna hit you differently, and then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. I didn't realize that's what you meant. Even though you're using it and working it out, you're gonna find out more and more details out of that.
And yeah, because I hear you guys talk about stuff, and you'll do and bring up subjects that all click back into the modules. I'm like, I get why you said that now. That's already
Right.
happened just in the last few weeks of things you brought up in the group. I'm like, that's what he was kind of getting at with the
Mhm.
that version of the tonality and specifics that takes time to nurture and figure out.
Listen, I mean, clearly you were in a tough spot. You guys were emotional, like you're putting in the work. I mean, not everyone's going to do that. Not everyone's going to necessarily like grind at it like you have. And again, I said like it's a lot of bullshit hard work and studying and lots of videos and being uncomfortable, but clearly, I mean, it's a game changer when you do it, when you put in that work, right?
Complete game changer.
Yeah.
Is for everyone you have, because I want to make sure my employees have the best lives too. So it's like, this isn't just affecting Tracy and I. This is gonna trickle down to every single person who ever works for us. They're gonna have a better life because
Mhm.
we learned how to not leave money on the table and to actually get what we have the value of doing.
Yeah, I mean, you're very talented in web development and marketing and a lot of those things, right? One thing that I've talked about with a lot of marketing companies is like they're scared to come in and start marketing for someone that has 14 or 15 estimates stapled to the wall that they don't know if they're going to get them or not. I mean, it's very hard for someone to come in and be good at marketing and help someone like that. Even though I know you could probably do it yourself, but if someone came in and just made the phones ring and all those prospects are calling, but you'd be like, the marketing's not working. Now I got 30, now I got 40, now I got 100 papers on the wall. I don't know what to do. The anxiety is building, the stress is building, but it's because once you get the sales process in place, That's why I think the sales process is the most important thing. Once you get that figured out, the lever is pulled, you make more profits, you throw that money into marketing, the phone calls start coming in, and then you make the most out of every single phone call.
Yeah, because I paid $700 for those 15 people to tell me no by ghosting me.
Yeah.
Straight up, I paid for those people to call me, and I failed in my sales process because I just didn't understand it, and I wasn't as trained as I thought I was.
Are you more
And
excited to market now? Like you go like, let's get the phones to ring. I'm excited about this now. I mean,
oh yeah,
you got a different
it's
approach.
totally different mindset about it, and more excited, of course, because I now that I'm getting so comfortable with the role play world, I would be completely comfortable with the crew doing all the work and me just being on 12 calls a day,
Yeah.
locking stuff down and going grabbing checks from people. That's fine. I would do that all day.
Nice.
So,
Okay,
so
cool.
that's where I'm looking to get here and make life beautiful.
I love it. So listen, if there's someone listening to the call right now and they're kind of on the fence about, booking a call with me and finding out more about the program, what would you tell them?
Um, if you are in home service and contracting world in any nature, I don't think there's any sales system out there that actually makes you look different than other contractors. And that I think is a huge factor, is that everyone out there is just trying to, what's the best price? I want to get the job. Like, don't be like everybody else, and actually bring value to the table and get what you're worth. And that happens through learning from people who are doing it for real. I think that's a huge factor, because so many business coaches are business coaches. They don't do anything but do business coach. Like, you're a pond builder. That is huge that you do actual work and then you're coaching about how your work is succeeding.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a very big deal of understanding that contractors have a different way to deal with clients than the corporate world.
Yeah. It's hard taking coaching from someone that you can't see them in that same spot, like I mean, I try and tell people like it's hard to get even if there was a retired coach, they used to have a construction company and they sold it 10 years ago or 8 years ago or whatever, like things are changing so rapidly. Like we have to be fluid, like you said. We need to be like water and change things up a little bit. So like the way we sold 8 years ago is different than we sold. Like think about 4 years ago when the world was shut down. Like we had to attack it differently, and then coming out there was a different adjustment. We had to make an adjustment again. So that's why hanging out in the group with the contractors that are actually in the trenches talking to people, you're finding out how they're making these changes and what's working, right?
Yeah, and you're really getting to ask them the questions on, so you did that? How is that possible? And then
Mm-hmm.
here, it's like, this is really happening. I don't care if you're Canada or you're in America, you're doing work and you're working with humans. And that's
Yeah.
the end of the day. Like, that's, you just have to get better on how you deal with people. And I could really, I've really started to see on how, when you speak about, this will not just save your business, but this could save your marriage. I mean, that's like, some people don't realize how powerful communication is. And most of you dudes out there are horrible at how you communicate or listen. And this course and group of people could help you even in your own relationship, just by learning how to talk and listen to people. And that's
Yeah.
real.
I'm glad you shared that. I think that's a big thing. But when I'm trying to communicate with a contractor, I'm going to be like, well, I'm going to save your marriage. I'm going to help you make more money. I'm going to get you more time to work out. Like, I mean, what lever is going to move them the most, right? And so a lot of the contractors, their marriages are becoming tighter after I help them, know how to close a deal better. And like, oh yeah, but here's your personality type too. And this is like, why don't you send me your wife's personality type so we could talk about that a little bit? Make sure you guys are tight. Your wife's a 2, right?
Yeah.
She's a 2. And what were you?
I think I was 8 and she's a
8.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good matchup, man. But you got to know each other. So it's awesome, man. So basically you're saying book a call, right?
Yeah. There's no way you're gonna understand without digging in. It's a must.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate your time tonight. I'm so glad that you're in the group. You're a big inspiration to a lot of people, and I look forward to you getting on the calls and, looking for ways to inspire you.
Sweet, man.
All
Thanks.
right, man. Thanks, man. Have a good night.
You got it. See you
Oh,
soon.
wait. Come on.
Uh-oh.
I told everyone about your cool TikToks. Like, how are we going to find you? If they're in Texas, they want some driveway work done, or if they want to glean some of this cool information off you, how do they get hold of you?
Phillips skid steering is where everything is. Phillips, and then skid steering. That's going to be every social media platform, as well as you'll find our website and our 512-588-4708. Because I'm the driveway guy. I do
Yeah.
everything. I focus on the big long gravel driveways, but now I'm into asphalt, chip seal, concrete. That's why the rebranding of the driveway guy is a possibility for
Yeah.
real.
So maybe if you're hearing this in a year from now, you might have to just go to TikTok and look up the driveway guy.
Yeah, exactly. We'll
You
see
better
how.
try and lock that in, bro. You better try and lock it in. What else was I gonna say? You're talented in other things too. Like you have some other marketing stuff that you're kind of tweaking with, right? And some social media
Yes,
stuff. You want to buzz on that for a
absolutely.
minute?
I guess the biggest thing is, like I told you earlier, I built this business with no clue what I'm doing at all. I had a skid steer and a cell phone. I started just using the skills of social media and produced a company that did six figures its first year by just using the power of free ability to use the internet. Gary Vaynerchuk, you and I are both big fans. Anyone who's heard what he's doing, that's the concept. But it's like I hone in on businesses. I only like to help people who have businesses grow and build their social media so they can produce more money. And then you need the sales side of this figured out. So you have a sales process so you can close all these people that come and call you. So it's again, marketing is crucial, but I realized that if your sales process is not on point, you're marketing for no reason. Straight up.
I think you're getting ready to like launch, right? So do you have a website for that people can be on the lookout for? So they
Yeah,
can know
Cray
more.
Cray Media.
Great. Okay.
Everyone,
CRAY.
CRAY, Cray Cray Media.
Cray Media. Okay, that sounds very
.com.
Californian. .com. It sounds very Californian. Okay, so keep an eye out for craycraymedia.com as well. And again, I'll just sign out right there. Thanks for your time tonight.
Thanks, man.
All right, later.
Laters.
Thank you so much for your eyes, ears, and attention to the podcast. That was a great conversation I had there. It's always very rewarding to get that kind of feedback when I'm out there helping contractors, and ultimately I feel like I learned so much from talking to people in different states, different industries, and it all kind of ties back to just sales communications. We're all humans, just like you heard Christopher say. We're humans. We have psychology that we're working with, and we just want to be heard. We want to be understood as well. So if you're interested in getting your hands on the 8 Vital Questions, you can go to contractorsalessecrets.com and you can download the 8 Vital Questions I ask every prospect before I go out onto the property, just to make sure that I can even help them out. Okay. And so that can lead you straight into booking a call with me as well. If you're looking to get some personal coaching on that, go download that document, pull it down at the bottom of the thing, show you how to book a call with me, and we can level up your construction business as well. So until next download, I hope you're getting after it and digging ponds like I do.